I'm making pulled pork barbecue. See it well? What is molasses? Basically sugar. Okay. So good. Before having a child, I used to look down on parents who talk about nothing but their children because I thought they're so boring. Well, I'm such an interesting person who talks about bigger societal issues and abstract concepts. But after becoming a parent myself, I cringe so hard at my past self. Maybe why are you copying me? I cringe so hard at my past self. Who the hell did I think I was to look down on these normies who actually take on real responsibility, whereas I'm the one who did nothing but yapping. And I'm not here to be anti-intellectualism or anything. As somebody who loves ideas and discussing about ideas, I think intellectualism without humility is just hot air. Growing up, I've always heard many older women say that once you have children, your life isn't yours anymore. And many even consider having children as annihilation of one's identity. And it's always something that I was afraid before having children. And to a certain extent, it's really true. Even now, after 2 years of being a mother, I still feel like I'm still in the thick of it. And a lot of times, I feel like I'm not functioning in my own body or in my own mind. Among my girlfriends who live in Australia, I'm the only one who has a child, and we are all in our early 30s or late 30s. So I do sometimes compare myself with my friends. Being at home full time with my toddler means that most of my thoughts go to the most mundane things like meals, laundry, cleaning, tantrums, and poop. Meanwhile, my girlfriends get to do adult talks, get to think about bigger things and interesting technical stuff, get to be immersed and present in a conversation without being interrupted every 2 minutes. The one thing I miss the most at this stage is my attention. I really miss being able to focus on things for an extended amount of time without being interrupted. Constantly switching my attention back and forth is really exhausting to me for some reason. So understandably, many people these days do not want to have children because it's such a big shift. It's such a monumental change in their life. Like you really need to reborn as someone new when you become a parent. And I think it's great that we live in an era where everybody can choose to pursue whatever they want to do, where they want to, without unnecessary pressure. Learn to fly anymore. Can I pick something else? Can I pick something better? What's there to say? I find the kind of conversations online about having children that garner the most attention and the most unproductive and inflammatory. On the one hand, you have people, mostly chronically online men, complaining about women delaying having children or not at all. And on the other hand, maybe as a reaction to the before mentioned opinions, you have child-free people talking about why they will never have children, or showing how wonderful their life is without children, which is fine, which is okay. But a lot of times they sound a bit how to say, provocative, and I sense a lot of children hating, a lot of pretentiousness, and also a lot of doom and gloom about the state of the world and everything in the world, blah blah blah. And I do think that those two opinions are not that popular, are not that common. They only exist predominantly online. And for me, once I walk out the door with my child and receive so much warmth and kindness from a lot of people around us, I realize how sad the online world is. We kind of just forget that most people want to have a good partner, want to have a good family, want to have children. And we should talk more about how to make it easier for people to achieve these kind of things that they want, especially in a time where it seems like having children has been becoming a luxury. I used to think success lessons work the same for men and women, but once I have a kid, I realized things are much more complicated for women. We cannot talk about career achievement and success to women without addressing the children question. And even when a lot of us choose to go back to work after a few months, it would still not be the same as when you put 100% of your mind and your heart into your work before having kids. And speaking of achievement, I think if you're a high achiever, motherhood at the beginning would be quite challenging. Until now, I still do not perceive spending time with my child or meal planning or cooking or cleaning or doing laundry, all this kind of jazz, as real work. So there are a lot of days where I feel so exhausted, but at the same time I feel like I've done nothing. I think it's because those tasks don't have a measurable or tangible KPIs, and they are also not mentally challenging. It might also be because growing up I was taught that if I'm successful enough, I would not have to do domestic work or manual labor. So I associate domestic tasks and temporarily staying at home with my child as my personal failure. And I must say that this is currently my biggest mental hurdle that I need to overcome. In the past, I used to be starry-eyed about women with messy hair, slumping over a stack of books and papers, writing about something important to the world. But these days, I've realized raising children is the hardest thing anyone would ever do. I think the most solidarity aspect about parenthood is that no matter how much financially privileged you are, if your child doesn't sleep, you still suffer immensely. I listened to a podcast episode where Keira Knightley shared about her journey of becoming a mother and how sleep deprivation almost drove her to insanity. And I was like, yes, there's one thing that I feel relatable to the Miss One and Only Keira Knightley. And then in another conversation, I heard PewDiePie sharing about how little sleep he had, but then at the same time, he also encouraged people to have kids. That's really heartwarming. And when I watched Matt D'Avella sharing about how he and his partner struggled so much during their first baby year because their baby didn't sleep, I felt like, oh my God, I'm not alone at all. From listening to the struggles of the people I know from the internet, I felt more motivated because it's like we're all in this together. I guess the spectacle of raising a family is so ordinary that we don't assign much value to it. In the Epic of Gilgamesh of the ancient Sumerians, there's this line that hit me hard when I was deep in the changes of sleep deprivation. Ever do we build our households? Ever do we make our nests? Ever do brothers divide their inheritance? Ever do fields arise in the land? Ever the river has risen and brought us the flood? The mayfly floating on the water, on the surface of the sun, its countenance gazes, and then all of a sudden, nothing is there. And many of us aspire to be the mayfly, the hero and the heroine in our own story, who accomplishes extraordinary deeds. And in our time, it is not hunting beasts or finding the plants of immortality. It is career, financial success, intellect, status, innovation, scientific discoveries, etc. But as the ancient wisdom has seen through it all thousands of years ago, an individual life is short-lived. A mayfly gazes at the perennity of the sun and vanishes into oblivion in a blink of an eye, whereas what has survived through millennia is humanity itself, a result of an unbroken chain of the most ordinary act, having children and building families. Bye bye.